I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. With us, a guest that has been on since last June. Now, last June, he predicted that the stock market would top out sometime in the fall and that gold would not go down. Got that right. And that gold would go way up. Well, it's gone up, but not way up. I'm talking about Bo Polny from Gold2020Forecast.com. Bo Polny, thanks for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
Greg, pleasure to be here. And again, thank you so much for having me.
And I want to say that you've got a lot of, I've got on your subscription service and seen your calls. You've got a lot of correct calls. You got a lot of correct calls, you know, previously in the stock market tops. You've got a correct call around, I don't know, in 15, where you said gold would never go below 1045 or something like that. You got a lot of correct calls. You got some bad calls, and a lot of people have missed the timing of this. I mean, my God, the fundamentals show that the whole thing is a house of cards. I mean, a lot of very smart people have missed this, but then again, the Fed has a trading desk. So anyway, I wanted to get on with first of all, you've been forecasting to your subscribers, and you have changed your calls in the last several months, and you called the top March 1st in the stock market because you recalculated some of the things you missed. First of all, you missed the stock market, but tell me about the top in March before we get into why you missed it.
There's a calculation that we ran after trying to realize, why the markets kept going up. And after redoing all the math, I couldn't believe how the math actually came out to be incredibly perfect, running around the mathematical numbers, the biblical number of 7. But yeah, as of March 1, we believe that the stock market, the Dow, the S&P, all the U.S. markets and the world markets for that matter, are supposed to have topped. And from this point forward, Greg, we're supposed to see a very, very ugly April. Right now, Trump's first 100 days in office, ends on April 30th of this month of April. And before his 100 days is up, expect 3 things. Expect the stock market crash, expect the dollar crash, and expect gold and silver they're going to lose control. They're going to see a sharp spike this month yet in the month of April. And later in this interview, I'll go over specific dates and timings of these events of when they should happen.
And you have documented your recalculation to your own subscribers. And since March, have all your subscribers been short the market in its absolute top?
Yes, I've basically sent out to subscribers March, right near the end of April into the beginning of March, saying that this is the time to be short the market. This is not, there's no longer any time to be, long in these markets. And mathematically, I'll show you in a few minutes, Greg, how we came up with the calculations. But I think the math is truly incredible. As of March 1, that's it. And we're supposed to see a big move to the downside the very end of April.
And let's get the gold thing out of the way too. You said gold would go way up, but a lot of people were saying it would go way down. Gold has gone up. It's gone up, I don't know, 26% or so since the first of the year. I think it's gone up pretty significantly, but it never went down. A lot of people were forecasting, oh my gosh, gold's going to be $500 an ounce or $600 an ounce. Don't buy it. It's going to go down. It's going to get hit. But it didn't. It never went up. So you kind of hit and missed there. What's your gold forecast look like right now?
Well, gold forecast right now, still, believe it or not, is I'm looking for $2,000 within, I would say, the end of May, possibly.
Whoa. You think it'll be $2,000 an ounce before the end of May?
Yes, and the worst case scenario, very early June. But we're going to all that's missed in my forecast, Greg, if you think about it. In 2011, using Daniel's timeline, 1,260 plus 7 days, we nailed the exact $1,923 top on gold. No one else did that. They can actually verifiably say they did it to the exact day. Then, you're correct, in 2015, we scheduled an interview with Future Money Trends 2 weeks in advance of December 3rd. And we, on that day, said the gold will not go lower than $1,045. And to date, we've been 100% right, not only in terms of price, but time. It's never gone lower. Then yes, we were expecting a big move afterwards, and yeah, we got that wrong. Why? Because it wasn't time for it yet. And what markets went up? Gold went up last year of 2016 after the low of 1045, and then it dropped all the way back down. But what did it make, Greg? It made a bullish higher low at $1,124. And go to our YouTube channel on December 16th. We made a video specifically titled "The Trap is Set." And in that video, dated December 16th, we said gold will go no lower than 1124, yesterday's low, which was December 15th. And we nailed it again. And so that's 3 to the exact day forecasts that, using cycles, Daniel's time codes, we were able to forecast those incredible time points. And yes, all that's really missing is a massive price spike in the movement of gold and silver. And so yes, we've been wrong about the price spike, but not wrong in the big picture of things, and that gold will never go lower than 1045, regardless of all those analysts who've been screaming about $700 or gold under 1,000. They've been wrong for 5 years, and they will always be wrong because it's never going to happen.
So you basically take like old school charting and you mix it with a biblical information, a biblical timing to try to get your charts right. Let's talk about why you got it wrong. How did you get it so wrong? Why did you miss the timing of it? Of course, then again, they've done crazy things. The Federal Reserve, as I said, has a trading desk to distort every market, and the manipulation by the Exchange Stabilization Fund is just off the charts, and all the other central banks. But I digress. Why did you get your things so wrong? Evidently, you think you were early by a year or so, right? Why did you get so wrong?
You're right. The stock market has been the hardest thing to foretell and to forecast. But interestingly enough, and you go back, and I go back and relook at my work and realize the math actually was rather incredible. And so let me just show you. Probably the best to do that would be visually, Greg. So I made this chart here, and hopefully you can see this. Tell me if you can see this or not. You there with me?
Yes, I can see it. Yes.
Okay.
Can see it.
So this is what's called a jaws of death pattern in the stock market. And then what you can see right here underneath this is, let me see if I can get so you've got the high, if I can get it just right there, right here.
Hold it still.
Yeah. I want to get to 20. Want to see there it is. So there's 2000.
Go the other way. Go the way.
Okay.
The high. There's 2000, right?
Okay, so there's 2000 to 2007. Okay.
Right.
So what you're seeing there from March 24th of the year 2000 to October 31st of the year 2007, that was exactly 7 years, 7 months, 7 days. Okay, are you with me, Greg?
Okay, yep. Mm-hmm.
So now from the 2007, we're going to go, going the other way here, we're going to go next cycle from again, October 31st of 2007 to July 20th of 2015. That's point number 5, okay? That's 7 years, 7 months, and 7 weeks, okay? And from that point, we were hoping the markets were going to crash, but guess what? Nothing ever, it didn't. It dropped, but really, there was no stock crash, okay? So where was the screw up? Well, I screwed up right here.
Okay, tilt it down. Okay, there
right,
we go. Yep.
I can see it. The screw up is right here, okay? So from wave point 5 right there, if you see that.
Yep.
So what happened was, we have to, so biblically, if this is going to be a biblical cycle, it's got to be a 777 again, okay? So, but we also have what's called a Jubilee year, okay? Because every 49 years, 7 times 7 is 49, you get a Jubilee year, you get a 50th year, okay? So from right here, we're going to take a biblical cycle. We're going to simply add from the exact top on July 20th, right there, of 2015.
Yep.
You add 1 year, 7 months, 7 days, 7 hours. So 177. Guess what you arrive? February 28th, 2017. So the next trading day was March 1. 0.5A. 0.5A. Are you with me, Greg?
Yep.
So all that's left is a massive down cycle, which started on March 1st. So the screw up, so my screw up was right here. And if people think that it's simply easy to take, hundreds of years of cycles and try to put it all together, good luck. It's not. But when you look backwards, you can realize the errors. And so now that we've got this, all that's saying is that we've got 2017 right here. The initial target is 14,000 on the Dow, minimum.
So you think that the next big move down, well, I mean, I mean, look what's going on in the world, Bo. I mean, does this play into your predictions when you take a look at the charts and the biblical timing, and then you have, what, 3 carrier groups heading to the Korean Peninsula? You've got the Pentagon warning that they're going to shoot down any missile tests from North Korea. You've got Russia warning about a unilateral strike in North Korea by the U.S. We have Russia warning the U.S. about this latest strike with this gas attack, this chemical weapons attack, which the Russians are saying that that they want to have an investigation, and nobody really knows whether it's an attack or the Syrians hit a bunker of poison gas that they stole from the Syrian government. I mean, we just don't know what is going on there. And then also the Ukraine is heating up. They're talking about going after the rebels, the Ukrainian government, the rebels, which is the Russians. I mean, you talk about wars and rumors of wars, it's all over the place. Does that play into your analysis of, the 10-year Treasury is sinking, the dollar is sinking, yields are going down? Tell me what you think about the overall geopolitical landscape that we're facing.
Well, cycles precede events. I write that over and over at the top of my letterhead whenever I write any of my updates. The bottom line is world cycles, biblical cycles precede all events. But then what you need is the event to fulfill the cycle. And it sounds crazy because people are waiting for the events and they're like, oh, the event happened, so now the stock market crashed. But the cycle says the stock market's about to crash this month, and we need an event to cause the crash. So it's 180 different degree perception of what people believe to be true. And so by looking at that, remember the 0.5 that we just showed on the chart, Greg, of July 20th of 2015, that top?
Yep.
Okay, so now let's just do a couple of quick calculations. You add 21 months, that arrives at April 10th of 2017, so which is just like last week, which was the day Passover was the 11th. So April 10th should have been the last day for the dollar and the last day for the U.S. stock markets, and everything on the 11th should have started to drop. Go look at the stock market and the dollar, what happened on the 11th. They all fell on the start of Passover. Okay, and then Passover ends today, the 18th. Okay, so as of today, it's 7 days after the 18th. So now we do 14 days, which would be the Monday the 24th, and basically all heck is supposed to break loose by the 24th, which would be basically 14 days beyond. So 21 months and 14 days from the top. So bottom line is the cycle tells us that we should expect on the 25th. Let me just show you, here we go. The 25th of April, okay, we are supposed to see
Hold that up there for a minute. Hold that up there for a minute. There you go. Hold it still. All right, so the 25th of April, you think there'll be a Black Tuesday in the stock market?
Yes, the markets are foretelling. Now, will it be a 10% crash or a 30% crash? I don't know. But I tell you this, there will be a crash on that date. On that date, there will be a gold price spike in reaction to what just happened, and silver will be set free as well too. So it's going to be very exciting here the very last week of April, especially on that particular and that specific date within 24 hours, but it should be actually on that date. And so all those events will be before the 100 days are up for Trump within from the day of inauguration.
What does that have to do with Trump, the 100-day in your cycles? What does that have to do with anything that is 100, his first 100 days?
I just find the math. This math goes back to July 20 of 2015, and all the math comes in to before the 100 days is up. So basically, before the 100 days are up from the inauguration to 100 days of the inauguration, we should have seen the three things I mentioned. The stock market's supposed to crash, dollar's supposed to drop or crash, and the gold and silver are supposed to be set free. So basically, Trump is supposed to bring in a new, and the new starts before the 100 days is up.
Now, this is, when you talk about the crash, this is just the beginning round. And this isn't the big one. You're thinking the big crashes are happening in the fall. Am I getting that right? Explain.
Yes, I see three. I have three calculations that I expect. The first one being this month, the last week on the 25th. Then there's two more crashes in the fall. So we'll see how bad those ones are. But first, we want to see how bad this one's going to be on the last week of April. And if we hit something, if we drop to 14 this month, that'll be 14,000 a Dow. That's going to be pretty scary. It may not go that low. We'll have to see. And if it doesn't, then we might have to look for that in the fall time of 2017. But do expect in the year of 2017, this year, markets will be falling, the dollar will be falling, and gold and silver will never be at these low prices ever again.
Would you call this a Jubilee year? Is that what this is in your calculations?
That's exactly it. If you
explain
look
that. Explain that.
So if you look here, actually the best way I can show that is here. So we've got a 7-year cycle. Okay, a 7-year cycle is 2,520 days. And this is not like almost, it's exact, to the exact day. You cut it in half and you have 1,260 days. In the Bible, it talks about Daniel's timeline, okay? So that's 1,260 days, and that's exactly 1,260 days, which is Daniel's timeline. You can cut that in half, and you got 21 months, and you can cut that again and divided by 3, and you're back to a 7. The bottom line is all this is a big circle. Cycles are circles, and they're all based around the mathematical number of 7. But if you take 7 times 7, you get 49. That's where the screw up was, because I used 1,260 days, assuming that was the end of the cycle, but that's actually the end of the cycle, then starts the Jubilee. So you have 7 years. I'm sorry, you have at least either 7 years if it's on a massive cycle. So basically, the cycle of Trump, for example, using the 252-year cycle, if this is a true 252-year cycle from the Currency Act of 1764, that's 252 years. That's the end of the cycle. So the dollar topped when we did the video in December of 2016. That was the end of that cycle, the currency cycle. And now you have a 7-year cycle for gold, which means Trump's in office for at least 7 years for the cycle to fulfill itself.
And what does the Jubilee do? What does that mean? Does that mean there's a big debt washout? The
Right,
bonds
exactly.
So explain that for everybody. What the Jubilee? What does that mean? Why is that such a big deal? What's a Jubilee?
So within the cycle of time, biblically, 49 years ends a cycle, and then on the 50th year, it's the year of cleansing, the year of washing. From a farming standpoint, you're not supposed to touch your fields on the 50th year. It's a year of rest for the fields, so the fields can then be good to go again on the 51st year, on the year after the year of Jubilee. So it's a year of debt forgiveness, a year. So if gold explodes in price, which it's going to, gold, that's going to be God's money exploding in price, and then people will have means to take care of any debts that they have. But it's a year of it's a debt forgiveness year. It's a year of rest, and the key word is it's a year of rest.
Does the Jubilee wipe out the bond market? I mean, are you predicting that all this debt is basically going to be deemed unpayable and fizzle, go to nothing? Hugo Salinas Price thinks the same thing. He thinks the bonds are just going to end up be rendered worthless. What say you?
Okay, well now let's just look at the cycle. The Currency Act of 1764. So why is that so important? Well, if you take 7, let me just pull the chart up here so we can.
But answer the question about the bond market first, though.
Okay, so
answer that first. Do you think the bonds
are this because the bonds tie in their paper? Okay, so basically, so to answer your question, bonds are paper, just like the dollar's paper, just like the stock market's paper. Okay, it all ties into the 252-year cycle, which started with the Currency Act, Paper Act. Okay, so when the Currency Act ends, all paper ends. And what rises? Gold and silver. So if bonds are made of paper, it's over.
So you think the bonds, or most of the bonds, are going to be either hyperinflated away, or they're just not going to pay? I mean, Puerto Rico, which just flew all under the radar, which I think is a big fat canary in the coal mine, they just officially defaulted on their $70 billion in debt. So, so you're saying that people are just going to quit paying the interest on the bonds, which means the bonds are worthless. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I'm saying that anything paper becomes the thing of the past, and the thing of the new is that of gold and silver. So don't be surprised if we have something new rise very soon that's backed by gold. And reason that would happen is because that'll be the new money. And the old money is the old money. It's the old system of debt. And now you have the new system of real money. And so the old system of debt, which would be bonds, dollar, those are all debt-based instruments. That's the old 252-year cycle, which ended. And now you have 7 years forward of massive world changes.
And do you think that we'll go to a digital currency backed by gold? Do you think that's what's up? I mean, they've had this quote unquote war on cash, where in India, one of the biggest countries, one of the most populated countries on the planet, has gone away with a lot of their cash, at least their big bills. Do you think that this is on the way to a cashless society and backed by gold?
Well, yes, it'll eventually go that way, but first you have to wipe out the dollar. So the dollar's got two legs down in it. So don't expect that to happen tomorrow. Don't expect some, major events like that to occur just yet. It's not in the cycle timeline just yet. But first, you have to bring down the dollar and all the other world currencies. Remember, you had the Economist magazine basically pointing to the year 2018. But that's actually correct, because when I go back and look at the cycles now after redoing them, it basically shows extremely clearly the dollar's got a down cycle this year and most of all of next year, 2018. And so once a dollar gets down, you have two legs to the downside on the dollar. It's going to be at least, the first cut is going to be at least 33% from 103.5. So the dollar's, down into the just below 70 is the first leg down. So as the dollar goes down, who's going to want the bonds? And you're going to have some kind of currency rise, whether it might be digital currency, probably the cryptocurrencies temporarily, but eventually, yeah, you'll have some kind of one world currency eventually, like down the road, but not yet. So first, you got to take down the dollar.
And you think the dollar, as we're doing this interview, is getting hammered this week? Ooh, I mean, on the Dixie, it's below 100.
That's right, but it started on the 11th of April.
So you think the dollar? Give us your roadmap for the U.S. dollar. So the U.S. dollar,
94 is the first target on the dollar, and that's soon. And then after that, it'll pause, and then it's going to keep dropping. But basically, between now and next year, we're at least going to 70 on the dollar.
On the USDX, which is at 100 right now, so that's a 30% fall on the USDX.
Yeah, got a target of 69.4, I think, was my number that when I did the math on it.
Does the dollar eventually just go away, or does it just get,
well, again,
devalued?
Well, I guess who's going to want it if it gets devalued, and then you cut it in half again, or you drop it in value again? I guess the better question: who's going to want it when you you might have some other U.S. or some other world currency that's backed by gold or has some true money behind it, such as gold or silver. You got this is money. This is a $100 bill. It's 4 ounces of silver. That's money. Not this paper.
And what do you think is going to happen with silver? There's some people out there that think silver, and a lot of people have said this. Bix Weir has said it. Cliff High has said it. Other people, Jim Sinclair has said it. Silver will go up much higher, much faster than gold. What do you see with silver?
Yes, that's correct, but not. You're going to have silver jump right now. Gold's going to jump higher. So shorter term, gold's got the edge on silver, and the reason is because gold is going to be the safe haven asset on this market crash that happens here in the end of April. So gold will outperform silver short term only, and then silver starts taking lead. And so by the summer, by May, June, into this summer. As summer hits here in the United States, silver is going to take the reins big time on gold, and you're going to see some pretty beautiful numbers on silver as well too. So I expect to see still potentially triple digits on silver this year. So fingers crossed on that one. But if gold goes to 2,000, silver is going to 60.
Uh, and what about the stock market? Where do you see the stock market? I mean, the S&P is at, I don't know, 2100 or something. Where do you see the stock? The stock market is, where do you see it going to?
Well, the stock market, same thing. So now that this March 1 top came in, we're expecting a crash into the end of April. And then basically, they're going to do whatever they need to do to prop it back up again. But let's see how bad the crash occurs here in April. My target, initial target for the Dow right now is 12 to 14,000 on the Dow. And we might see a drop where in the one day drops 2 to 3,000 points. And it could happen still this month yet. So don't be surprised if you see that on that date, that we're talking about here in April. So we'll see what happens. But the initial targets for the Dow is 12 to potentially more so 14,000. And let's see if that happens now or if you have to wait until April for that. I mean, wait until the fall time of 2017 for that.
And you're saying that if we get this big drop in the stock market, the Fed and other central banks will flood the zone with cash.
Absolutely.
Will cause lots of inflation and people will be freaked out. The bonds will then tank because the cash worse. They're going to be paid back in monopoly money, and then gold and silver will be on their upward ascent. Is that what you're saying? They're on their ascent for the next 7 years. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, yes. They're not going to look back. People are going to wish they had gold and silver at these ridiculously cheap prices, because when the move happens, that's about to happen. It's going to be quick. And I think the people selling it are going to shut their doors, and then they're going to open them back up at much, much higher prices.
You think that they're just going to play the market? One of the people on the website, my only sponsor, Discount Gold and Silver Trading, Melody Cederstrom, has told me the same thing. She says, we start getting $100 day, limit up days. I'm not going to be able to replace that. I'm not going to replace that inventory, so I'm going to have to wait until the dust settles. Is that what you're hearing?
Yes, but when the move happens on gold, it's going to go from 1,400 straight to 2,000. So what is that? That's about a $700, $600 move, possibly in a matter of days. So it's going to be pretty crazy what's happening here. So I got a target of $2,040 on gold, short term. Within the by June, end of May.
And when you look at the geopolitical situation with the aircraft carriers heading towards the Korean Peninsula and the threats back and forth between the U.S. and North Korea and then China and Russia, and then you look at the Middle East with this big missile strike and the chemical gas attack, and Ukraine is heating up again, what does that tell you about your cycles?
They're perfect. So let's hope they are. But basically, if you want to see this, check this chart out, Greg. Here's a 7-day war. Okay, remember the 7-day war of 1967?
Yep.
Okay, so let's take the 7-day war. It started on June 5th, ended on June 10th. That was a 6-day war, and on the 7th day was the day of rest. Okay, we add 50 years, and we get to the year 2017. Okay, so let me see if you can see this here. There we go.
I see it. Hold it right there.
So
Hold it.
So basically what this is indicating that on the 20th of this month, April, there is a possibility of war beginning. It'll be a 6-day war to the 25th. That's my last count. That's the cycle crash date. And then this day of rest will be the 26th of this month. Will it happen that way? Well, we'll find out soon enough. But if it starts on the 20th of April, know what to expect. The other possibility is right below it. You can see number 2 here. If you can see that right there. Basically, 50-year cycle. And again, that will be 7 months and 7 days, what I just laid out. The other possibility is 7 months, 7 weeks, and 7 days, and that takes us to June 8th of this year.
Okay. So and where do you think the price of gold will ultimately settle out? Price of gold and price of silver is 7 years from now. I mean, I guess I'm asking you for a big prediction. Where do you think this is all going?
Well, those are tough because basically if you look at the stock, where's it going to be by December of this year would be the better question, right? Because if gold's at only say 3,000, then a target of maybe 5,000 in a few years from now is maybe realistic, and then a lot higher from there. But if gold is at 5,000 by the end of this year, well, then that changed the game. That changed the game plan of how high this thing could go. So, you see, cycles again, just like I laid out on the stock market. We nail the cycle high, but then what ends up happening is that if you look at the stock market, what it did was it right here, rather than it 5A being lower, 5A went higher because they printed money. So because of so much money being printed, who knows? It could go to 10,000 minimum, 50,000, or hard. That's hard to know. It's, so. But I can tell you, it's not going to be a $1,200 like it is 1,200 or 1,300 where it is today. And so I think a realistic target short term would be 3,000. By say this year, and then 5,000 by next year.
And silver.
Silver would be 125, because when silver takes out $22, it should quickly jump to 26. When it breaks 26, we should go to 36, and then straight to 60. And once it takes out 60, it'll probably play there for a little bit, and then we're looking at $125 by the end of this year, and it could be even sooner. So if gold only gets to 3,000, then silver will probably only get to 125 this year. But again, the numbers could be higher. Long term, well, if you're doing 125 this year on silver, don't be surprised if you see $300, $400, $500, $600 in the years to come.
And what about people are probably sitting there watching, going, well, the Fed can just print money and naked short sale and do all this stuff. Why wouldn't that happen again? Why wouldn't the Federal Reserve just knock all this down and print all kinds of crazy money and knock down gold and silver prices to make the dollar look good?
That's a great question. The cycles are against them. The cycles have them against the wall right now. So for them to do that, they're going to have to break a 10-year cycle, which I'm looking at, and all the 10-year cycle shows is a massive price move that's about to happen. So they're against the wall, and they're not going to be able to bring gold and silver down once it takes off. They can print all the money they want, but it's not going to affect gold and silver price. When they lose control of it, it's just going to keep going.
And when they lose control, do you think the bankers might say, wow, like J.P. Morgan with the big reported silver hoard they have, might say, okay, now's the time to push it way higher. We're going to get behind it and push it up. Do you think that might happen as well?
Well, they like to make money, don't they?
Yeah, they like to make money, don't they? All right, Bo Polny, gold2020forecast.com is the website. Bo, thanks for coming on, taking the heat. I know you don't like saying when you're wrong, but you did. I appreciate that, and why you were wrong, appreciate that. Bo Polny, gold2020forecast.com. There's free information on the website, correct?
There's some information on my website. Go watch. Probably the better than my website even is my YouTube channel. Got some watch the most recent videos that I uploaded just in the past week and a half, 2 weeks. There's some just 2 5-minute videos. Please watch them. It's the Gold 2020 Forecast is a YouTube channel, and that's that's where some of the really good information is. And
it's free.
Greg, yeah, the videos are free. Actually, I've given some of these dates out already. I've given the April date out already, like in January, of that we're expecting the markets to start to drop as of April 11th. That was given like in January, February. So I do provide a lot of information for free on the internet. I don't give all the dates up because I try to keep some stuff for the subscribers. But the thing is, these are important times that we're in, and I really want to try to spread some. I want people to know, and so and because what I do, Greg, I go out. I'm probably the only person in the limb that actually goes out and actually forecasts dates. Okay, which is insanity, but I do it. Okay, and many of which have been incredibly correct. Okay, and yeah, I've basically admitted to getting some wrong here, but the best part is there's critics out there that seem to know everything and are extremely intelligent and have all the answers. So here's two things, Greg, I wanted to mention today. Is number one is the critics, if they think these cycles are so silly and make no sense, bet against them. Bet against them this month. Take your money and bet against them. Bet that the gold is going to go down and the stock market is going to go up. And to everybody else who appreciates this information, if you take this information that Greg kindly put me on this interview to do here today, take this information. If you profit from it, I ask you one thing: send Greg a donation.
Oh no, yeah, they don't have to do that.
Greg, I know that, but you are the one guy that's been out there fighting for us forever, and your stuff is amazing, and I truly want people, whether they want to do it or not, that's their prerogative, but I'm giving them information that if they profit from it, it'll be a win for them and it costs them nothing. So I think they should, at least if anything, share in the happiness.
Well,
and the bottom line is, Greg, I think what you do is amazing, and I really appreciate you having me on here.
You're very kind. I have you on for free. You don't pay me to be on.
I know that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Just so people know
Absolutely.
that's so. But thank
Yes.
you for saying that. That's very kind of you. But I really appreciate having you on. I think it's very interesting stuff that you've come up with. You've been right. You've been wrong some, but you've been right. Let's see if you're right. And when you are right, you can come back on and take a victory lap. And if you're wrong, you got to come on and tell us what happened. All right.
I will.
All right. Thanks, Bo Polny, Gold2020forecast.com. Thank you for coming on, my friend.
Thank you, Greg. God bless.